Welcome everybody. That was the amazing Grace, dedicated to George Floyd and the whole movement that's going on right now. I don't usually get too political on my channels, which I'm sure you've heard from a lot of people who do live streams or are present on social media. But I thought it'd be a good time to play this piece in honor of him and everything that's going on right now in this world. I haven't played that song in a pretty long time, but I felt it was the right thing to do today, and with again, all the current events. Plus, it's always a good time to work on the freeze of these notes, and hopefully you're able to hear that pretty prominently, if you're wearing headphones anyway, because it's pretty full immersion for me over here. I'm just going to turn my headphone up a little bit. But yeah, welcome on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hope you're all having a good time so far. Really been having a lot of fun with this freeze function. To just being able to just freeze everything. Again, you can't see what I'm doing with my feet. At some point, I will probably get a video camera just down here to have to be able to hear and see what I'm doing here with the foot. Just kind of noodling around with this idea here. I'm not quite sure what that was. I just kind of felt inspired to do that. So, you know, that's the cool thing about this loop pedal thing that I have here and everything. It's just sometimes I'll just do a very simple little bass line all in F sharp, and then everything else can morph around that. The really cool thing about doing this, I think, is that you have the option, because there's no major third or minor third, you have the option to really play around with the modes. So I'm not just playing Ionian mode, I'm not just playing maybe Mixolydian or Lydian, even Phrygian dominant. There's a lot of different sort of voicing, little things that you could do when you have that kind of constant, the 1 and the 5 kind of in that progression. So you can play around with minor third, major third. So in that, you probably heard a lot of modal shifts going on between left and right, moving in and out of darkness into more peaceful things, and back and forth in this ever-ending cycle of playing with the modes. But I've been really enjoying the Lydian mode, which is this one. That's kind of really been experimenting with that, because it's kind of, even though it is considered a major mode, it is a very kind of dark sounding thing. Anyway, let me know if you guys can hear everything okay. Is the sound okay? Is it loud enough? Am I speaking loud enough for you guys? I have more or less the same setup as before, but you never know. Things can always get a little bit messed up. So if you have any questions, now would be a good time to ask. I do see some questions here. Just want to kind of go through these and make sure I don't miss anything. I want to try to get back to as many of your questions as I can during this good hour or so. So here's a question from Aisha. How do you choose a chord progression for writing songs? I actually went over this in a Patreon lesson, which I think I also posted here on YouTube as well, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe if not yet, it will come soon. So the way I choose chord progressions is from that first lesson I did at my Patreon page, where I kind of go into detail as far as how to do that. So I'd encourage you to check that out. That would kind of, I think, really demystify that topic, because it's a big topic, and that's just kind of the way I do it. I like to do it anyway. So let's see. Here's a question from Marcus. Hello, Jamal. I have a question. Have you played Justin King before? If not, check him out. Yeah, Justin King. He was actually one of the first person I saw doing the two-hand tap stuff, and because of that kind of really encouraged me to play that two-hand tapping style of guitar. He's definitely one of the first. I think it was Functified. Of course, so many of us have seen that version, that song, and just been blown away and be inspired by that. I personally have been one of those people as well. Great player. I don't know if he's that active anymore, but still a big influence when I was first starting out the guitar, like 15 to 20 years ago or so. Yeah. So here's a question from Blues Valerio. Maneli, I've read that you lived in Germany. Do you speak German? Ja, ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, aber es ist nicht so gut. But whenever I go back to Germany, I try to speak a little bit of German on stage, just for giggles. You know, I think it's pretty funny when you know I've obviously lived there for 9 years, so you would think that I would know a lot more German. But I was 9 years old when I left Germany, so I was pretty young still, so it wasn't kind of the right place for me to continue the learning of the German language, because it's such a hard language if you're not brought up there. So many rules and exceptions in the language, like most languages, but the pronunciation is a bit tough. So if any of the Patreon members are here and have any specific questions, do let me know, because I will be making sure to prioritize your questions, since you are members at my Patreon site. And speaking of that, that's right there if you are interested in joining. I got lots of lessons coming up. The next lesson that I will be doing on my Patreon page will be on how to record your acoustic guitar, how to record the acoustic guitar, and how to mix the acoustic guitar inside of GarageBand. So I'll be providing all the details as far as what I do if I were on a budget. So that'll be out very soon, so stay tuned for that. Good, I'm getting some comments about the sound, which is good. So you're probably getting a mixture of the microphone that's right here, as well as the basically all the pedals that I'm using in the pickup system of this. So here's a question from Mike, who is a Patreon member. Thank you for this question here. I know this is probably obvious, but since there was no third involved when you could go back and forth, basically between major and minor, correct? That is exactly it. That's exactly it. Because I have this, the 1, the 5, and the 1 again, the octave, it allows me to choose when I want to play the major third. So if I were to go, so if I were to bring that back, you know, you've got the 1, 5. So now here I can choose to play the major third, minor third. It even sounds cool going descending, then to the 1. You see, so there I went major third, minor third, major second, and then to 1. So even that could be a really cool bass line. But when I'm soloing out, I tend to choose very carefully where I put the third note. So if I'm playing, this is the 1, slide into the major third, right? From here, go to the minor third. Right? So this is kind of the pentatonic box that I'm more or less playing, and this is in C sharp. So I'm thinking E major right here. If I wanted to go into this Lydian mode, I would really encourage you, if you are experimenting with this, learn these modes and try to see if you can play them over a simple bass line like this. This is, again, just a very repetitive thing, but there's so much you can do, and you can play for 10 minutes and not make it sound similar. You know, it can all be very different. So that's the E major. Now Lydian. All right, that note right there, that sharp 4 is really cool. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question there. So fun to do, and it just allows you to have so much freedom. It's insane. It does take a bit of time and practice just to be able to comfortably move between these modes, but I think once you do it, many great ideas will come. And the Lydian mode in particular has a very unique sort of vibe to it. So here's a question from Marcus. I saw your 2-hand tapping video. It helped me a lot. Can you do more tutorials like this? Yeah, definitely. So first of all, thank you for checking out that video. I did a 2-hand tapping lesson, I think, many years ago, and that is on my YouTube channel here. But I will, as many of you know, I do have a masterclass coming out. I keep saying it's very close to being finished, but it's really close to being finished, where I talk about everything from 2-hand tap, basically my whole style, everything about it. The percussive side, the harmonics, the creating process, the compositional process, and so forth. There's just tons of information. It's going to be about 8 hours in length, so it's for people who really want to get into this style of playing. It's both beginner to advanced, so it starts you from the beginner stage and it goes all the way into really advanced pieces, like one of my pieces called Zaire, which we go over. Some finger picking pattern that are very kind of more advanced and stuff like that. So that will be coming soon when the time is right. You know, but for right now, I'm really focusing on Patreon and making sure everyone has the voting power there for the next lessons here, because that's been a lot of fun to do for you guys. So here's a question. Have you studied music, or is everything you do self-taught? And that's a really great question. Now, when you say studied music, even if you're self-taught, you can still technically study music, right? So the way I see it is I did study music, but through self-experimentation, through being an autodidact and looking at resources and trying to make sense of the chaos that music can be, and trying to narrow it down to an organized sort of pattern, you know, something like that. And so that's been a really fun journey. It's definitely taken me a long time to do that comfortably, to kind of play between modes and things like this. But there's no need. You don't necessarily need to go to a music school to play music at all. Not at all. I mean, if anything, the best thing about going to music school is that you get to meet and be with like-minded individuals who have a similar kind of interest in you. That's I think the most important thing about being in a school or an education system like that. Other than that, though, the learning process, you can learn everything yourself. That's kind of my approach. I love to just teach myself as much as I can. I'm kind of obsessed about that and just trying to make sense of everything, be as efficient as possible. But yeah, I really enjoy the self-teaching. That's really been my focus in life, to just really focus on that and the exploration of different tunings and things like that, right? So here's a question from Raha. Thank you, one of my patrons. Hi, Maneli. How often do you change your strings? It's a good question. I haven't changed these strings for the last 3 lives that I did. So this is number 12, number 11, 10, and 9. I think number 8 as well. I haven't changed the strings. So I'm using the exact same strings on it. So you let me know how it sounds. I mean, I'll play a clean signal and... So it sounds pretty good still. And these are Elixir HD lights. And I do have a link to these specific strings that I use in the description below if you are interested in grabbing yourself these. And again, I don't really change strings that often. I don't really find that I need to. I typically like to wash my hands before I play anyway, just so that there's no dirt that is potentially on my fingers. So I would suggest if you are looking to preserve the sound of the strings. I mean, one thing to do that you could do is just a preemptive sort of strike. Just make sure that you wash your hands. Make sure you're clean before playing the guitar. That should be a given, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just cooked with grease, and then all of a sudden we were inspired to play guitar because we made some delicious meal, and then we just want to go right into it. Go for it, but just be aware that the strings aren't going to be as fresh. So here's a question from Stefan. How much do I have to donate for you accepting a song request? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. You tell me. You make a price, and I'll see if I can do the song. I'll give you. If I can't play a song, I'll keep going through your requests until I eventually can play a song that you request. So yeah, super chats are open, as well as any sort of donation that you would like in the tip jar at paypal.me/Maneli Jamal. No pressure, you guys don't have to do that, but if you do enjoy this and want to support it anyway, that's one way of doing it. So here's another question from Stefan. Ever experienced a string break live? Many times. Many times have I broken strings. It's only because I'm going into like a tuning that is really far from what I'm currently in. Right now I'm in standard tuning. Standard tuning, that's kind of my go-to. It's where I feel really comfortable. But every once in a while I'll go into tuning like Adapt and Accept Part 2 or Awakening, Alleviation, which is also in a drop C, like a low C tuning. And then going from there all the way there is a troublesome area, and I have broken strings. And when you do break strings live, and what I would say is really be prepared to keep the show going. Like, you better have a story ready or something. You better have something to keep the audience engaged, especially if you are playing in a theater where people are really listening and in tune with what you're doing. So you better have, I would encourage you anyway, to have some sort of story ready, or a joke or something while you're restringing the guitar. That's happened a few times, especially in the beginning of my career, where that's happened. And now I typically try to stick with tunings that are relatively close to each other. And that's usually about three or four tunings that I stick with if I were to play a live show. Yeah. So, so let's see. Someone's asking, yeah, that's why I don't play kora. That's right. That's why I stay away from the kora. So if you are listening with headphones, enjoy, because hopefully it's in stereo, because it's this sort of surround reverb that we're getting. It's really nice. I'm going to play a piece called Synchrodestiny. little bit of a Synchrodestiny there for you, and that's the steel string version, which is really enjoyable. You may have seen the video of me on a beautiful lake in Lake Orta in Italy. That's kind of that, more or less that version here. Here's a thing from Mike, a little statement, comment. Your storytelling is great, especially the loving way in which you talk about your mom and dad. So cool that your dad is a violinist. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate that. I think my mom is watching right now, so I'm sure she'll be very happy to see that. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a cool journey. You know, it's been a tough journey up to where I am today, but in a way, it's these hardships in life that can really make us see how blessed we really are. Yeah. So here's a question from Steve. Do you miss performing in front of a live audience? Will you be able to anytime in the near future? That's another really great question, and I don't know. I really don't know as far as when I'll be able to do that again. As far as me missing it, to be honest, this is pretty cool. This is like I'm in the comfort of my own home right now, and playing music and basically doing a little concert. Obviously, I don't have you guys right in front of me right now, but I can imagine. I can imagine you guys are in front of me, and wherever you are today, sitting on your phone or on your computer, you know, in a way, I know that there's a few of you out here today watching, so I'm really thankful and so for that. But so in a way, this is pretty cool too. I don't really miss necessarily playing in front of a live audience, just because, like, again, I've got multiple guitars. I got another guitar here. I usually just tour with one guitar if I'm ever going to specific places. So this has been pretty cool. I mean, obviously the pandemic is a horrible thing that's going on around the world, but in a way, for me, musically, it's really helped me to kind of go deeper inside and explore more music. I've written so much music the last couple months, which has been really, really awesome. I really enjoyed it. And doing these live streams more regularly now, I think that's cool too, to kind of be there for you guys and if you answer questions and maybe talk to you guys, right? And but yeah, who knows when we will actually go back to everything being kind of the way it was. I don't know if it will. I mean, who knows? It's such a big discussion that we could go on and on about, but yeah, right now we don't really know. So as far as that, I'll just keep doing these live streams for you guys in the meantime though. Thank you. I'm getting some really nice comments from you guys. Really appreciate that. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, again, you can keep them coming. I will do my best to answer them. I did get a request for Southern Magnolia, so maybe I'll play that one since I'm in that tuning. That was Southern Magnolia. Dedicated to my time in Austin, Texas. I lived in Austin, Texas for a good 7.5 years. And it's a very beautiful flower that grows in a lot of places around the world, but it's a love song. It's one of the first songs that I wrote on the acoustic guitar as far as like a fingerstyle piece, and still play it, still have it under my fingertips, more or less. It's gone through several variations, and I actually have a new version coming out June 25th. It's a really, really fun song to play as well. Very happy song. So here's another question from one of my patrons, Raha. What's your favorite progression or melody to play? That is a tough one. There are so many. As far as a progression goes, I just yesterday posted a little clip of me playing over a little bit of a loop that I did. It's this one. These chords right here. It's basically like an F sharp to A flat minor 11 to B flat minor 11, and then to a B. And I think I can even get the original loop going, and I can kind of show you what I have done with it as far as kind of what sort of ideas melodically I like to play. That's really been on my my go-to kind of warm-up playing. So let me actually just get the loop going. I think I've got it here. So I guess it was actually in the key of E to the A. Very simple melody, right? That's kind of been my go-to sort of thing to play. And it sounds really good when you kind of add a little bit of distortion to it. really is about like the phrasing of the notes, or the kind of the lead line ending, right? It's kind of like so you can very clearly hear this sort of call and answer going on. Think of this as like a conversation that you're having. That's like the first kind of question, then the answer. Right, so you can very clearly have this dialogue between them. This is really how I like to solo a lot. That's something that's very effective when you are kind of improvising, when you're thinking about lyrical improvising. Right, you could hum this. So very clearly within those 4 bars, you can have this sort of sentence that you're going on. There's so many different things come into play when I'm soloing like this. You know, even articulation of the notes using the thumb pick versus using the index. Let me show you what that sounds like. So with the fingers, let me show you now with the thumb pick. A bit more weight to it, you know, because I have nails, I have acrylic gel. It really allows me to play a little bit more kind of sharper sort of attacks. Powerful here, like see, it's like the same 2-chord melody. But let me show you a different way of playing it to show you variation. Playing it twice, staccato. So powerful, even just that alone over it can sound pretty good. Then the original melody. Vocalists do a lot is they'll play a note and then bring it up a little bit, like a step up. So let me show you what that means, what I mean by that. So if I'm playing, so you see I stop right after one step above that. Right? And vocalists do that a lot. So you're trying to emulate kind of what a vocalist is doing. So you see, I always kind of like to end with this sort of phrase. It's very effective because it really emulates, again, that lyricist, that sort of that vocalist. playing horizontally really helps. Playing one string. So there you go. Here's a little bit of some tips and tricks that I like to do when I'm soloing to kind of have this very lyrical, like improvised ideas. Because it's one thing, you can obviously do all these crazy lines, these fast and things like this. But I think what will really hit home is the emulation of what conversation is, right? Because music really is a conversation. It's a dialogue between maybe a story being told and you as the listener, as the composer is inviting you into their world. Right? So that's kind of my approach anyway. But yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. So we're already at the 1 hour mark, so I just want to mention again, if anyone here who is not a Patreon member who would like to join, I do have exclusive guitar lessons, lots of content. The tabs for the song that I just released called Home, Celestial Home, is available for free for all my patrons for the apprentice tier and above. So if you are interested in that, you will get tabs of whatever songs I release per month. So just wanted to kind of make sure that you guys are aware of that in case anyone is doubting that. As well, I've got a tip jar. So if you are interested in supporting me in any other way, that can be a wonderful thing too. That will help me have a coffee in hand, you know. This is great. Raha says, awesome. I love where the questions in these live streams lead to. Yeah, you know, it's funny because your questions in particular, I feel like every time you've asked me something, I just kind of run with it and kind of try to just explore as many things as possible. I know Raha is actually one of my Skype students as well, so it's always kind of the way it goes. We kind of touch on a topic, and before we know it, we're talking about something that's completely not related, but you know, it's still a lot of fun though. So here's a question from Matt. So amazing. My brother got me into your music and I've loved it ever since. My question is, would you ever come to the UK for a tour? First of all, thanks to your brother. Give him a big hug for me if you can, and thank him for introducing you to the music. As far as coming to the UK, I was there, I think 2 years ago. I've been there a few times already. It's been pretty cool. Again, right now we're not really doing any touring. This is my touring. The touring is the extent of my living room with a different shirt on every time I do a live stream. So that's the extent of this is my green room. This is my green room, my apartment, my studio. They're all in one sort of space that I have here. But I'm sure once the crisis, everything cools down and everything, I'm sure I'll kind of eventually go back on the road. Even though before this I kind of slowed down. I didn't really tour a lot. Some of you may know that I kind of slowed down in the touring. I was just a little bit burnt out from just doing it too much. But to be honest now, I'm kind of craving it, doing these live streams as well. And it's always so cool to get to go to new places and meet new people. That is, I think, one of the biggest highlights about being able to tour around the world. You get to meet so many wonderful people, and I've had the privilege to meet some amazing friends and long-term friends, which has been really cool. Okay, so to finish off here, we did this last week where basically I asked you, the audience, to present me some chords that I will do a loop progression over. So we're going to do that now. So if you guys have any sort of chordal ideas that you want to throw my way for me to make a loop with, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do together. And maybe some of you, that's what you've been waiting for all hour long. So throw me some chords. Let's see what we can do. I might make some modifications to the chords, but let's see. there's a nice chord there from Raha. Sounds like a major 7 sort of shape here. Again, your chords don't need to be advanced. To be honest, the more basic the chords, the easier it is for me. Unless you really want to throw a curveball my way, then... But it's funny, that actually works over the A chord here as well, which is the A major 7. So very nice sort of shape. Be able to do something with just this chord right here. This is kind of my approach. I'm just going to kind of explore some bass notes while I'm playing those same notes. Actually try it. Maybe I'll do something like that, huh? Follow here, I'm playing like a major 7 sort of shape, the C sharp to the B major. So that's a nice little melody potential. So I'm going to try to think of the second guitar part. Ebow here. Okay, so we're starting to build the song and the ideas that are going around it. So what I like to do is I usually like to have some sort of, as you can hear the palm mute part here, that sort of thing. Those are really effective over these long kind of arpeggiated notes that I like to do. Now I might think of a bass line, but in a way there sort of is a bass line already in there. In the key of E major. Basically we're playing the A as the first one, A major 7, which will be the 4th degree, and then we go to the 5. Thinking there's a lot of sort of drony, beautiful, ethereal sort of things going on. We might, I don't know if this will work. It might work, especially when we do this sort of fast brush. It just creates this movement. I might want to do a kind of higher pitched arpeggio here. So there's so many things that we could do at this point. But I really want to find a melody that's really strong before I kind of, and we'll get into the percussive parts here, which is like, so if I'm ever doing a percussion part like that, I always like to start with just the kick drum first, because if you layer it on top, it sounds, I find, much better. So let me just see, 3. And sometimes it's a little bit off, right? This is the tricky thing about so you see it's a little bit off. Good thing I can undo the thing before that. That's kind of the tricky thing about doing these sort of percussive loops, because they need to be really tight. I might just do this to start. final second layer of the loop. I just want to make sure it's tight. These are very nice sort of things that you can do, these little embellishments. I think that's the one. So what you could do at this point, maybe that I would do is play the first chord with a big chord underneath it, like this maybe. Let's see if it works. Gotta find the right one. So that first initial chord kind of has turned into a C sharp, which is okay. Searching for that melody. Sometimes you want to switch between the two layers. with this sort of stuff, which is a lot of fun to do. But hopefully that gives you some insight as to how I can make a loop progression, even with as simple as those two chords. Again, we're playing kind of the C sharp minor to the B. Melodies and different ideas over top, it really doesn't sound like it's the same thing. Like we just heard the same loop basically for the last 10 minutes. At this point, I'm just experimenting all my ideas that I can. This is now leads us to the original. That's it. That's the progression. That's what we just did, which is really fun to do. I still didn't get in a sort of a kick drum. add this kind of sub bass. It's basically me just tapping and hitting the palm very lightly. Hopefully it's not too loud, but it's sounding okay over here. So now it's got a kind of constant rhythmic, such a rhythmic piece here so far. You know, so many things that we could do. Cool. Well, that was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. As always, these loop pedal jams always drag out a little longer than usual, and that's okay. That's all part of the fun. But hopefully you enjoyed this creation process, kind of the ideas that I went over. Hopefully you gained some insight into some of the process of how I kind of like to approach these sort of ideas. That by itself can be very therapeutic, and sometimes I just listen to the original sort of flow of it. Because after hearing all that, you just want some space to just have the original sort of groove kind of going on in the back, right? I find that really is a lot of fun to just listen. Obviously it's not like crazy tight, but you know, that's part of the rawness of this live session. We're just doing it so raw. We can even do these sort of, kind of sounds like a door creaking or opening. Probably not the right place to do that for this one, but one thing that we can do, again, it's just, I'm just thinking of other sort of things that we can kind of throw in. So now it's turning into something completely different. Now it's getting into this really slow kind of you guys have any questions on this loop? Any sort of things I did? Any questions? That would be a good time before I kind of log off. It's been a lot of fun though, nonetheless. Sounds with everything before. Mike has a question, wondering where to find the principal modes online. I think I've got the modes somewhere. I'll have to post that since I know you're a Patreon member. I'll have to post that on the Patreon page. Some ideas about this. Now that I've got this, what I'll probably do is I'll make this a backing track for my Patreon members to jam over. Since you have this reference, you've got a great reference here for me to show me all the lines. So this might be a good lesson for me to do for you guys at the Patreon page. As far as the soloing, but more or less what I'm doing is I'm playing two modes, focusing on two modes here, because the first chord is C sharp in the key of E, so pentatonic, C sharp pentatonic, to the B, which will be mixolydian. So those are the two modes that I'm kind of switching back and forth. So hopefully that helps. Thank you, Raha. You like those triplets? What was that over here? I don't remember what it was, or... Can we play the same without the nails you are wearing? So I'm just using acrylic gel nails right now, so we can definitely do what I did without that. You can just use a pick, you know? So you can definitely do that with just a pick. You don't need to use these nails that I'm using. Absolutely not. It's just a personal preference, right? Are you on vinyl? I am not on vinyl. There's just not enough kind of demand for it for my music. But I do have all my music on CD. very much for the beautiful music. You have given me great moments with your melodies. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Starting to like this loop now. You see, this is what happens. You just keep playing. You say you stop to yourself, but then you never stop. Here's a question from Nelly. Does your music have a religious influence? Sometimes makes me feel like I want to pray. Thank you for that. I'm not a religious man by any means, but I am a spiritual man. So everything that I'm playing is highly spiritual for me. My God, my sort of higher being is this consciousness of music. What I'm doing right now for me is reaching a higher being, or not a higher being, but a higher understanding of the world around me. So music really gives me that outlet to really understand, to make sense of what's going on. But my form of praying is just playing music. Okay, thank you guys. Here's from Philip. Well, it's been a religious experience for me. Cool. Glad to hear that. Again, thank you guys so much for sticking around here. I know this hour slowly is turning into 2 hours, as it usually does. But thank you so much for sticking around. And again, if you did enjoy this, if you're not a Patreon member yet, I do have exclusive content there. I will also be releasing this song here. I'll make a backing track out of this for my Patreon members. For anyone who wants to kind of learn this, kind of play along to it. Other than that, thank you so much again. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead and a great week ahead. I'll probably do another live stream next Sunday. Sunday seems to be a good time, hopefully, for many of you. It's the weekend, so I figured it'd be a good time to do that. So hopefully see you guys next Sunday or Saturday. I'll let you guys know. And make sure you hit the notification button there below. If you are tuning in on YouTube, there's a notification button that you'll get notified whenever I do go live, if you are interested in that. Thank you guys. Really appreciate that. I'm going to log off now, so until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful